what's up, boxing fans? This is the Rope-A-Dope Report. I'm your host, Chris Carlson, and I'm coming back with a segment. You know, I've done a couple of articles I've read and making a video about it just because it's something that intrigues me or whatever, and I'm going to start doing this more. I see a lot of people out on the internet, a lot of new people, and just people that have had shows for quite a while doing a lot of these different type of videos. And we've had a lot of problems, kind of like Strikehearts said. Actually, Strikehearts is a guy out there that has just started a weekly segment. I think what's bugging, or what makes Strikeheart mad, or something like that. Anyway, a lot of people that I follow and I subscribe to are making videos that just kind of, you know, what they feel, either an issue or whatever's going on in boxing. So I'm going to do a kind of a different segment tonight. It's going to be my top 10, my best pound-for-pound fighter. And everybody has a weird view on their pound-for-pound fighter. Not necessarily this fighter fought each other, how it would go on, or the exact skill of a fighter. Because sometimes a fighter can have much more skill and is just younger and is unproven. Like a Juan Manuel Lopez or someone like that. Who's right on the cusp of being a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, and probably will be at some point, and maybe can even beat, you know, a guy on there. But they just, you know, it's your overall resume, skill, you know, the whole nine. You know, it's kind of a variety thing, and obviously this is open to argument. So obviously anything I say on video is open to argument. But I want you guys comment, and not necessarily just, you know, tear up my list. Although you probably will, you know, tear up my list too. But make your own list too. So leave comments and make your own list. You know, I like to see everyone's opinion. Anyway, I got a lot of fighters that are on the cusp. You know, right there. So I'm just gonna go down some names. You know, Glenn Johnson. Glenn Johnson, the guy, is right there at the doorstep of being a pound-for-pound guy. He's been lineal champion before. Anyway, a lot of people may laugh because that's the first thing I say. You know, Carl Froch, Tomas Adamek, Arthur Abraham, Juan Manuel Lopez, Chris John. You know, I hate to say it, but if Margarito came back, he could still be on the cusp. He's outside the top 10 now. A guy like Juan Diaz. Juan Diaz is a guy that I still think there's a lot of hope for him because he's very young. He's 25 or 26, and now that college is done, I know he plans on you know, furthering his education into law school, I believe. But even if he just took a class, or like I've heard, I recently read that he's gonna just focus on boxing for like 2 or 3 years and see where it takes him. So I think he's a guy on the cusp. Kelly Pavlik. Did I say Carl Froch? Vladimir Klitschko's right there. Lucien Boutet has a chance to start being a really good fighter. We're going to find out about some of these guys. But right on the cusp, you know, I can't do a top 10 list. You know, it's kind of like a top 5 or top 10 movie list, you know. Or what's your favorite movie? That's tough to say, although in boxing it's kind of a little easier for me to find out who's the best pound for pound of all time. That's Sugar Ray Robinson, no arguments. But so I have a couple people like kind of right on the cusp. So I'm kind of got number 10 is 3 guys, okay? Paul Williams. Now some people might say this is a little low. Like I said, we got to go back to a resume. Margarito, a very solid win, especially if, you know, the cement was there. That makes it even a better win. We don't know. We'll never know about that. Winky Wright, Quintana, excuse me, in the rematch, how quick he came back, that was impressive. So he has some solid wins. Obviously Winky and Margarito being the biggest ones, so I think he's right there, and he's a guy that can just skyrocket from here. Vic Darchinyan is a guy that I think is right there at 10, and obviously if I say Darchinyan, I got to go with the Nonito Donaire. I hope I said that right. I've only seen him fight 3 or 4 times on YouTube. I've only watched him fight 1 time live. So I've always you know, for whatever reason, I've had something going on that night. So, but I really like him as a fighter, and I think he's right there. Number 9. Like I said, I just named 3, but I had to squeeze the top 10. Number 9 is Ivan Calderon. Calderon, I think his name is. Another guy that I've seen twice or three times fight, or seen it actually live. Otherwise, I've seen a bunch of his fights on YouTube. Very skilled all-around guy. He hasn't had maybe the depth of some other guys' resume, but a very skilled guy. Very skilled guy, and still has more to prove, and I hopefully before it's all said and done he will. My number 7, actually number 8, what am I saying, 9. Number 8 is Chad Dawson. Now a lot of people may think, what the heck, Paul Williams, Paul Williams is better than Dawson, and Victor Archinian is better than Dawson, but look at Dawson. He's 27 or 26, he's a young guy, he's undefeated, he's taken on and beaten Glenn Johnson, and I know that a lot of people think Glenn Johnson won the fight. Okay, no matter what, it was a tight, good fight. You cannot say Glenn Johnson whooped him. You know what I mean? It was a good, tight scrap, okay? And going down the records, that's how it went out, I mean, Juan Manuel Marquez could be the number 1 fighter right now, too, because a lot of people think he beat Pacquiao. So that's just how it goes. Tomas Adamek, who is a cruiserweight lineage champion right now, who hopefully he starts fighting better talent, he's the type of guy that he beat. He beat Tarver twice. So, I mean, and now he's going to fight Glenn Johnson again. So I think Dawson is very much right in there. He's a very skilled fighter. He has his flaws. But right now, if you look at resume and his skill level, you got to go with Dawson at 8, I believe. Then Rafael Marquez at 7. He has been idle. And I will have Vasquez later in the list. He's been idle as well, but what can you do? I mean, he was in 3 wars. He's fought at different weight classes, so I think Marquez is built up. Not only, has he beat someone on the list to keep him on the list, but he's lost tight fights. I mean, the 12-round fight last March was ridiculous. I mean, and some people think he won it too. So, I mean, you got to have him on your list, even though he's been, out. Even though he actually is now back. He just had a fight, but he's been out for quite a while. Cotto. Miguel Cotto is number 6. I think his resume speaks for itself. He's fought some good fighters. He's going in there with Clottey. I guess you could say the Margarito thing with Cotto, it's tough to say, man, because if he had the plaster, the Margarito, like some people call him, then that's really impressive, because Margarito didn't even put Cotto on his butt. I mean, Margarito took the knees. It was because of pain, but he didn't get put on his butt, so I don't know. It's tough to say, so I got to keep Cotto on here, and I got to keep Cotto in the top, basically 5 or 6. He's 6 on this list, but Mosley's number 5, and Cotto beat Mosley. Tight fight again, but I did think Cotto just barely beat him. Mosley I'm talking about. He's number 5. I think his resume speaks for itself. He's fought a lot of people. He's only lost to 3 guys. Really, he has 5 losses, but 3. One of them was tight against Cotto. He definitely lost Vernon Forrest and Winky Wright fights. But those are at different weight classes, and those guys aren't really that active now. I mean, Winky and Vernon are around, but they're not necessarily in huge fights. So I'd say Mosley at 5. Israel Vasquez, just because of his accomplishments in the last handful of years, and the way he's come back, and I'm just so glad that he had 3 surgeries, and I'm just so glad. Let me see what time I'm at. I gotta wrap this up here. I'm glad that he's back from his surgeries. Anyway, number 3 is B-Hop. Number 2 is Marquez, and yes, you guys are wondering where the heck is Floyd and Pacquiao. Well, Pacquiao's number 1A, and Floyd is 1B. And you could switch them around or whatever, but Pacquiao would be my 1A and Floyd's my 1B. So anyway, this was a special little segment of my top 10 pound for pound, but really like top 13. And then some guys right on the cusp. And I mean cusp, there's a lot of young stars in this sport. Victor Ortiz, I mean, the list goes on, but they don't have a signature win yet like some of these guys do. Like Juan Diaz, he's got some signature wins. Anyway, this has been the Rope and Dope Report. I am your host, Chris Carlson. Peace.